Hello, friends. This is Dolores Williams. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to DW's View Stand Up. If we will not stand up for what we believe, who will? I want to thank my sponsors. They make this podcast possible. If you are a leader, professional, or an entrepreneur who is feeling frustrated or anxious because you're not performing at the level you know that you're capable of, then unlock your life today and get your complimentary strategy session with Coach Kim at unlockyourlifecoach.com. Now, DW's View is also sponsored by the American Patriot, Mike Lindell of MyPillow. Go to my website, www.mypillow.com/stand-up and receive a free gift for using this promo code Stand Up and see all the products that are available at this great site. Again, promo code is Stand Up. And go to my DWS View PatriotShoppingClub.com. Here you can switch from the big box retailers to a Patriot-owned business where you can shop for products that are better, safer, and less expensive than the stores. And you're saving 30 to 50% for products made right here in America. And to my audience, I want to thank each of you for taking the time to watch or listen to my podcast. I am blessed to introduce you to my special guest today, Mr. Stan Caplan. Let me tell you just a little bit about Stan. Stan is a San Diego resident since 1986. He is running for Congress in the 51st Congressional District. Stan is concerned about our country and that it's going in the wrong direction. And most of us feel that way. Now, we think that Congress needs a more civil discussion and less division to achieve meaningful results. We all want that common sense solution from Congress. We need somebody like Stan to bring some common sense into Congress, okay? And as a single parent, Stan learned the importance of his children's education. He will fight and fight for parents to have the right to speak and to promote school choice and also uphold a balanced curriculum that represents the American values. Go to Stan's website and read his complete bio, www.caplanforcongress.com. Welcome, Stan, to DW's View Stand Up. How are you today?
Thank you very well, Dolores. I appreciate being here.
Amen. Well, great. Listen, I want to thank you first for stepping up and running for Congress, because that's not something that everybody's going to do. So you took a huge step, and I appreciate what you're doing in that 51st Congressional District. And also the person that you are to stand up and run against Sarah Jacobs, who's currently in that position. Now let's have a discussion, and we want to contrast the differences between you and Sarah Jacobs. And this is Stan versus Sarah. And we want to discuss what sets you apart from Sarah Jacobs. First of all, as we look at high prices, Stan, your fight to decrease inflation and lower prices and make San Diego a more affordable place to live. Now, on the other hand, Sarah, she votes to increase wasteful spending that causes more inflation and high prices. Now, Stan, how will your party, and you, I would say, being involved, be able to decrease inflation and make prices lower?
Okay, let me give you a bit of background before I jump into this.
Okay.
I have never been in politics in my life until January of this year. Now, why would I start in politics at this point in my life? And why would I go into Congress as my first race? Sarah Jacobs, in my opinion, is a very far left extremist. She is going along with what is happening in our country today. In general, I am opposed to 100% of what the Biden administration and this Democrat-controlled Congress has done to our country since President Biden's been in office. No one was going to run against Sarah Jacobs. I went down to the local Republican Party and I inquired. I said, how can you not put up someone from the Republican Party to run against a far left socialist that is destroying our country? And they said, well, the district has a heavy Democrat registration advantage. And oh, by the way, she has lots of money. That depressed me because it just brought home the fact, you hear it's all about the money.
Yes.
That just told me that it's all about the money. For good politicians not to give it a try in circumstances such as this was very disappointing to me. I said, you know what? If no one else will do it, I will, because in the United States of America, we have a two-party system. And if no one opposes her, then this far left extremist will waltz into Washington, D.C. without spending a penny, and the half or more of the voters that disagree with her will not have had a voice. So that's why I am running. Now, let me tell you what further motivated me. When I go out on the street today and I talk to real people that have to work for a living, you see, my opponent does not have to work for a living. She was born in very fortunate circumstances in that her family's a billionaire. She can spend whatever she wants on her election without talking to the people that she's supposed to represent. So you've heard the expression, out of touch with your voters. It's never been truer. As she claims things like climate change and Green New Deal, she can jet away in her family private jet. That's the type of hypocrisy that we're facing today. Back to my voters. As I talk to them on the street, they're hurting. They're having a difficult time paying their bills. They find it difficult to fill up their gas tank at one time. They have to modify their grocery list. They have to change. Maybe they can't eat as much meat or have fresh produce. Their rents are going up. Their SDG&E bills, they're getting behind on them. They are hurting. And as I talk to these people, they look at me and they say, thank you for running. Now, I didn't hear that at the Republican Party. I didn't hear it, but I hear it from the people that need it. And some of them look at me and they say, I'm praying for you. And I want to tell you, no matter how religious you are, if that is a genuine feeling for people that need help, I am touched and I am motivated and I am running. Now, let me tell you how we can help the people in my district. Inflation is an ugly problem, and it's caused by a number of things. One of them is the government spending is out of control. When I get to Washington, we have to cut government spending and we have to cut the size of government. There is so much waste, fraud, and abuse in the government budget. And instead of sending out 87,000 IRS agents to harass small taxpayers and small businesses, you know what I'm going to do when I get to Washington? I don't want 87,000 auditors to go after the politicians and the bureaucrats and find out how they go in with not much money and come out rich. Let's follow the money. Let's find the corruption. Let's uncover why there's so much waste and corruption in Washington, D.C. So number one, we've got to cut the size of the government and we have to cut spending, because when you throw trillions of dollars out there into the system like they're currently doing, that's much more dollars against the same amount of goods and services. And I'm not an economist, but that tells me the prices are going to go up and the value of your dollar is going to go down. That's number one. Number two, if you take the Biden administration, the first thing they did when they went into office was basically shut down pipelines and make it onerous for the oil and gas industry to produce.
We'll jump into that question next, Stan, but I agree with you about inflation. I agree with you about all the things that are happening, and a brand new bill that's over $700 billion They call it tax saving, but all it is putting more burden in addition to the burden that the American people already have on their backs. They're getting ready to increase that more. And as you say, with 87,000 IRS agents, instead of, I would say those resources should go to the border.
Oh, absolutely,
It
absolutely.
shouldn't be going to more attacks on the citizens of this country and digging into the bank accounts of just regular American people and making them pay for their big spending.
I agree 100%. And another thing about the border, today, we need to have controls over the border. You know, there should be immigration, but legal immigration only. And what I want to know, of the 2 million people or so that have come in illegally since Biden's been in office, they have largely been unvetted. They were not here a check for a disease. They weren't forced to take vaccines. And they come in, they're given cell phones, they're given money, they're given free education, they're given hospitalization. And this is on the backs of our taxpayers.
Yes, and free housing.
Free housing. So
yeah,
we have people that are suffering today, and yet we're treated as secondary citizens behind illegal aliens.
Yes.
That's not right.
Yes. Yes. Now let's move on to now, as we talk about the differences between you and Sarah Jacobs, we look at the gas prices, and we know every person in this country, well, no matter what your income is, you're impacted by the gas prices. Now, you will work to increase domestic oil and gas supply in order to lower those prices at the pump. Now, Sarah thinks that you should just buy a $70,000 Tesla or just ride the bus. And people can afford to buy a Tesla, or for that matter, something even lower, because even car prices are going way through the roof. New car, even used cars prices going through the roof. So people are struggling. Now, in light of the attack on domestic oil, which you mentioned briefly, oil and gas production, how would your party accomplish lower prices when everything has been stopped? Our whole system of oil, drilling oil that God put in this country, we have more oil and gas than enough to supply the whole world, not just this country, but they want to go into green energy. And we see the Netherlands and all these other countries are being destroyed because they bought in to this Green New Deal. Now, if you have something, if you're going to go green, then, and you're going to go that way, then you need to have all the calculations figured out how you're going to make it work. But it's unsustainable. It's not sustainable, but yet God gave us gas and gave it to us for a reason. And there's nothing wrong with petroleum. Stan, there are so many products made with petroleum. Everything that's made, you have to have petroleum.
Yes.
Look, we're cutting off our own head.
I agree 100%. There's no way to stop fossil fuel production and have any type of economy whatsoever. You know what? You want to talk about renewables. You want to try to please everybody. So you phase them in very gradually, and where it's not disruptive to the system. If you want to have a certain percentage of renewables that may or may not work year round, and by the way, they're all made in China, and we're dependent upon China now for our renewables. What they want to do is stop fossil fuels, make us dependent upon the renewables for our energy grid. And one day they get mad at us and they say, no more renewables for you.
But you know what? China's not going to stop using it. And they look at us like we're fools. They say, you know what? These Americans are crazy. They're foolish people. You're cutting your own throat. We're not going to stop using. Matter of fact, they're piping up on all of that stuff. They're increasing. We're cutting out our own resources, and they're increasing. They're not never stop. Russia, they're not going to stop using oil and gas and coal and all that stuff. They're increasing.
Of course, and they're even increasing coal production.
Yes.
You know what? Our energy production here is the cleanest in the world, and it's got to.
Yes.
The energy has got to come globally from somewhere. And
Yeah.
if you want to depend on China and India, which are the two dirtiest countries in the world and by far the largest, they have a good percentage of the population. I mean, obviously, it makes no sense. And also for national security reasons, why should we be dependent upon other nations?
Yes.
If God forbid we're in a war and we're out of our strategic petroleum reserves, which we're giving away to China, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So we've got to get back to where the United States, which has the natural resources, the technology, and the human capital to be the world's leader, we've got to bring it back.
That's right. That's right. Now, let's jump into crime. Now, now, crime. When we look at crime, now your view is that criminals should be punished for committing crimes. Public safety should be our priority. Now, that's your view versus Sarah Jacobs, who works to defund the police and believes that criminals are the real victims. As we see, criminals committing all kinds of crimes, they might get locked up for an hour, even that, and then they let right back out on the street. So criminals have been legally given permission to commit crimes. Now, how would you and your party, how would you be able to promote public safety when they have all these rules in place to allow criminals to be criminals?
Well, for heaven's sakes, why would you lock them up for an hour? That's way too much. Oh, Dolores. If I'm a criminal and I know they're not going to do anything to me, what am I going to do? I'm just going to do it again and
That's
again.
right.
If they tell me I can steal up to $950 a day, oh, what am I going to do? I'm not going to miss a day. I mean, it's so silly, but the poor people that are victims of this. I mean, it's not real complicated. The way the United States used to run is that if you break a law, you're going to be punished for it.
Yes.
I mean, do we have any rocket scientists in the room? I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. One of the problems today is that some of these prosecutors that are put in there, I don't know where they come from, but they say they just don't want to punish these people. You know what we need to do? We need to punish them. If they don't obey the law, put them in jail with the criminals. They'll change their mind real quick. So let's go back to punishing and fully funding police, let them do their job and stop harassing the police. It's shocking what they put up with in everyday life. And let's get rid of no cash bail. Let's start showing a little bit of sympathy to the victims. And we just need to have the right kind of laws enforced, the prosecutors to support that. And now we need the media. They need to step in and start supporting the police too. They tear them down.
Good luck with that one, Stan.
Oh yeah, right. But that's part of the problem.
Yes.
But
exactly.
Common sense Americans understand that criminals should be punished.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Now, when we look at taxes, I was looking on your website and your stand on taxes. Now, you will work to lower taxes for the American citizens, and that we should keep more of the money that we earn. Now, Sarah Jacobs votes to increase taxes on the American citizens, and she wants the government to have more of your paychecks. Now, at a time when your opponent works to increase taxes, and they have the majority right now, so they can do whatever they want. Now, how would you and your party accomplish lowering taxes for the American people?
With the high prices today, there's no reason for low-income people to be paying really federal taxes. I mean, and my opponent gets out there and says, oh, we're only going to tax the wealthy. We're only going to tax corporations. First of all, if you tax corporations more, they're going to pass it on to the consumer.
That's right.
And you've got to, her whole philosophy, the Democrat socialist philosophy is let the government take care of you, give us more of your money, we'll enlarge our government and our powers and our oversight over you. We'll take your freedoms away, but that's good for you. We'll tell you exactly what to do in your life and you'll be fine. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. We need to do the opposite. The thing that built this country was, entrepreneurship, the ability to say, I can be whatever I want to be, not work for the government. If I want to build my own little business, I can work for whomever I want. I can be what I want, and I can be the best I can be. And that's what we have to strive for. Let me make one more comment about the small business. I am furious. I am a small business owner, and I can understand why small businesses are upset. They used the pandemic as the first excuse to shut them down. Now, what's the difference between you and me going into our friends who's got a little bit of a grocery store, a clothing store, a hardware store, or going into Home Depot or Walmart? I don't understand. Well, I do understand. They want a few large businesses to be in cahoots with the government. They want to destroy the small business person, and they're doing a heck of a job with it. And we need to incentivize small business to bring back that American spirit which built this country.
Amen. Totally agree with that, Stan. Without the small businesses, they are what make this country work. You get rid of the small business, you're just destroying the country.
That's right.
And we don't want to do that. We want to respect those small businesses who it takes a lot of time and effort and money to even start a small business.
That's right.
And to get your clientele built up and all that, and then to have it just snatched away by people who don't have a clue. It's pretty
heartbreaking.
sad.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when we look at the work history, now I think we talked a little bit about small businesses, but Stan, as a small business owner, I'm sure it took a lot for you to get your business started. And to grow it, but when you have billions of dollars at your expense, and that's just like peanuts. It doesn't mean anything.
That's right. You said it, Dolores. People put their hopes and dreams into building a business. Sometimes their entire savings. Sometimes they put a mortgage on their house, and that's their life. And they have their family helping them. And it's just, you're right. It's just awful to pull the rug out from under these people. And I have to tell you, when I get to Washington, they come first. The people that I'm talking to that are hardworking, they love our country. They love their religion, their churches. And that's another thing. You believe they used the pandemic to close churches? I can't understand that for the life of me. Yeah. But there's this push today, it seems to me, against organized religion. And believe you me, the First Amendment guarantees one the right to practice the religion of their choice. And the government should not have one say in that.
No, they shouldn't. But it's unfortunately, it's about power and control over the people.
Exactly.
That's the main thing. Now, as we go back, we talked about violence. Now, as we look at violence, Stan, that last little section here, and then we're going to go into your positions. Now, you oppose all kinds of violence, but Ms. Jacobs, the lady you're running against now, she refuses to condemn left-wing violence. And what ways do you oppose political violence?
Well, it's deeper than this. I don't understand what's going on with the Justice Department today. Yeah. It's obviously, it's been infiltrated by, I think, communists, to be honest with you. Yeah. This Merrick Garland, I have to tell you, one of the more shocking statements that I've ever heard was when he called parents concerned about their children's education, domestic terrorist. Mm-hmm. You can't get any more outrageous than that. And of course, all of these raids in the middle of the night on political opponents. Yes. It's simply gotten out of hand. Until we clean up the FBI, the Justice Department, and now the military, they want to be woke too. It's going to be very difficult, but that's the first step. And once you do that, and you have an equal and fair justice for everybody under our laws and our Constitution, then there shouldn't, you shouldn't have any political violence. But right now, if the media condones it, if my opponent, who has been interviewed on TV, says, we have to do whatever is necessary to bring about change, including violence, then unless people like that understand that that's, well, illegal. I mean, when they go to the Supreme Court justices' homes, when you send somebody there that wants to assassinate one of them, and the Justice Department doesn't clear that out or prosecute these people, it's sending a message that your violence is okay, but if you're conservative, we're going to put you in jail. We're going to break your house down, put you in leg irons, and put you in jail.
Yeah, that's very sad to see that happening in America. I was listening the other day and I heard a commentator from overseas say, wait a minute, what's happening to America? What's going on in America? America is doing what the communist countries have done to their people, to their citizens. What's happening? America has got some serious issues being led by the Democrat Party, unfortunately. But it's just the truth.
Dolores, if I speak with, and I've spoken with several people that have moved here from either communist or once Russian-controlled countries, they can't believe what they're seeing. They are distraught. They are telling me, I escaped to get away from this. What is the United States doing? They don't understand it. And you know what? Most of our citizens don't understand it either.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because, America is truly that city that sits on a hill. And as we know who founded America. And yes, America has a past, just like we all have a past. But America is the only country who worked hard to make sure that every citizen, regardless of color of your skin, can make it.
That's right.
Yes. Now, Stan, I want to move over and talk about your positions. Now, you have a stand on, and I want to read these through just in case we don't have time to touch them all, because people can go to your website and look at them all. But educating children, giving parents school choice, giving parents a voice, ending rampant homelessness, also to restore the border policy, law and order, a foreign policy. Those things are some other, now you have others on there, but these, let's just start with educating children. I want you to go through and say what you want to say about that, because there's a threat to our children in America. Our children are in danger in these schools.
Yeah, they're trying to indoctrinate them. Again, it's with this Marxist policies. I have to tell you, I don't think the federal government should fund any school that teaches this garbage. I don't know what they're doing with little kids, to be honest with you. I've never, observed a preschool or elementary school, class or curriculum. But if they're starting with this gender stuff and getting into transsexuals and and teaching little kids about sex when they're 4 years old or 6 years old. I mean, we're getting inappropriate here. The parents have a role, and there are certain things a child needs to learn as he gets to be a certain age. And it's not up to the teachers or the teachers' unions to decide, which way their child should go. I've heard shocking stories about the teacher saying, don't tell your parents, but if you feel like you're the opposite sex, we can help you with, encouraging this kind of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these people are criminals. And so I don't appreciate that one bit, and they need to be cleaned out of there. And that's why a parent should be able to observe. I want cameras in the classroom. I want parents to be able to observe what's going on, what they're being taught. And if it's something that is really offensive or inappropriate, I want them to have a right to go to the school board without being shut down. I want them to have a right to have remedies. And so that's the first thing. Now, all children are different. They have different needs. Different schools may be better for one and not another. And why in the world shouldn't a parent want their child to have the best education? Because that's the beginning of the future of that child, is to be well educated so they have career and lifetime opportunity. So we've got to maximize their potential that way.
Yes, that's true. And you know that unfortunately, our San Diego Unified School District was called out on national TV last week for that very curriculum that they're pushing on children starting in kindergarten. We already know they're already indoctrinating children K through 12 and even in college. You know, I mean, yeah, it's not good. But yes, we trust God, but also parents, as you say, Stan, should have the say about what their children are learning and not just be put into a position where they're taught, oh, don't go home, Johnny, and tell mommy what happened in school. You know, you can be, I mean, they go to school and they have one name. They've been taught, you know, you can be a boy, you can be a girl, you can be whatever. And then when you go home, don't tell mommy and daddy what we learned in school today.
Yeah, they're trying to break the family apart
Oh, yeah.
also,
And
and
see,
it cause mistrust among the
yes,
family.
yes. And see, this kind of conversation is not tolerated on media either. So
That's right.
yeah, not
Exactly.
tolerated. Can't talk about it. But now when you talk about giving parents school choice, what difference you think that will make, Stan?
Well, again, some children have different abilities than others. I mean, some have strengths and weaknesses. I mean, everybody's different. And some schools may be better suited to give that child the best education, or at least recognize the child's strengths and try to optimize those. So I just don't feel like the child should be put in a place where he's either going to fall behind or the class is not going fast enough. Another thing I'm hearing, can you believe they want to cut out advanced placement classes somewhere? I mean, there's like this intention to dumb down our kids today.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Dumb them down so they know nothing except what we teach.
And accept what the government says.
Yeah, that's not healthy. That won't lead in a good direction. And we see it all. We see the fruit of it.
That's right.
We see the
That's
fruit
right.
being bared out in our children, and not loving their country, hating the American flag, and not even one to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's right.
I think every school should start with that every day. Every student should have to say the Pledge of Allegiance when they go into class before every morning. Of course, they don't allow prayer. Because when we were little, before they took prayer out of school, that's what they need is prayer. Of course, we'll cover them with prayer from home, but it shouldn't be something that's hidden and swept away. With the founding of this country, prayer we should never allow this country to get to a point where we can't pray in public. Now, also, as you say, we want to give parents a voice of what happens with their children. And Stan, I know you have compassion and you have your view on homelessness, how to end rampant homelessness. And we see it right here on the streets of America and right here in San Diego, all across the country, we see homelessness.
Exactly. And so don't tell me it's compassionate to let people live on the street. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. A lot of these people, or most of them, have either drug issues, addiction problems, or they're just flat out mentally ill. I mean, who would really want to live on the street? And, I've witnessed some of this. And what I understand is that a lot of them get to the point where they don't even know they need help.
Yeah.
And so I take the position that they do need help.
Yeah.
Whether they know it or not. And we need to have the right type of facilities to treat them.
Yeah.
And instead of throwing hundreds of billions of dollars away, and it's worse than ever, and instead of giving them free drugs, I mean, can you believe that?
Yeah.
They need to receive the treatment, whether they know it or not. And so I'm saying build the facilities, top-notch facilities for mental illness and drug addiction, gently pick them up off the street and put them in there until professionals, medical professionals say, I think that they're ready to go back on the street, and then give them training and see if you can get them jobs and make them productive members of society.
Yeah, well, you know, the long time ago, they had mental institutions and they closed those down and just turned those people on the street.
Figure that one out.
Yeah.
Open them up again. Open them up
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
You know what's so silly? Now they're putting them in. They're fixing up all these hotels, putting them in the hotels so they can destroy the hotels,
Yeah.
or they're buying them. Check this one out. They're buying them $500,000 condos.
Oh my, well, well, Stan, that would end just like the hotel downtown San Diego recently. They had to take it back because that place was so riddled with, I mean, it was horrible, horrible, horrible. They put them in this nice, clean place. I said, when they did it, I said, oh, that's not going to hold up. You got somebody, give somebody a nice, clean hotel room, and you think and you coming in off the street, and you think they're going to keep that nice and clean. No, they had to eradicate that place because it had become such a horrendous place, probably with rat infested and everything, a horrible, horrible condition. And
well, let your viewers know the name of the place so we all don't know that we know not to stay there.
well, I'm sure they'll clean it up so you'll never know. But my goodness, that was a foolish idea from the get-go.
Right.
Now let's jump on the border real quick before we have to end. I know you wanted to talk about border, and we know that's a big issue as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, you might as well get me started on this one. You know, we touched on it before.
Yes.
I just don't think that illegal aliens should be getting welfare, to be honest with you.
No.
I mean, let's just be practical for a minute, okay? If you come into the country illegally, you're not supposed to be here, okay? And if you're not supposed to be here, why would we give you money, healthcare, education, housing, which puts a strain on the infrastructure? I mean, now the schools can be overrun. And if a lot of people don't speak English, that's going to require a lot of the services that would go to someone, you know, American citizens, kids. And the same with hospitals, healthcare. I mean, if you were having a heart attack and they said, sorry, all the rooms are taken, and, you know, half of them were filled with illegal aliens, you know, and you died or you needed brain surgery, then you would think, you know, what's wrong with this picture? So I think we need to go back to American citizens first. Now, how do we do that? You got to close the border. Anybody that's come in the last couple of years that was unvetted, I think we need to find them. We need to ID them. We need to vet them. There's a certain percentage that are criminals, terrorists, drug pushers, cartel members, pimps, you know, child traffickers, you name it. And we need to just send them all back. We need to get rid of them. Furthermore, these gangs that are in here, MS-13 or whatever, I don't care how long they've been in the country, get them out of here, deport them. You just need to clean it up. I'll go further. Any convicted felon that's illegal, that's in our prison system, take them out, send them back. Why should we house them and feed them? It's cost a lot of money for each of them every year. Let's put American citizens first. Let's put our dollars with people who need it. A lot of people that are trying real hard that are citizens need a little help. Yeah. And let me tell you another thing. I'm furious. There are veterans. They're laying around without arms and legs. And let's put them ahead of illegal aliens. There's plenty of places we can put the money to help the right people. Yeah,
that's so true, Stan. So true. But then we need more voters, more illegal voters to give us more power.
Well, so that's the shame of it.
Bring in illegal people for more power for our government.
Right. And that's a huge problem. I mean, not only not supposed to be here, they're certainly not supposed to vote, and somehow they get ballots. And
oh yeah, well, that's by design. It's no accident.
Absolutely.
No accident, Stan. Now I know you want to talk about foreign policy. Let's take a look at that. And I know you mentioned the military just a little bit ago, and I'm big on military. and supporting them, but not the indoctrination that's happening to our military today. I'd be fearful if I had a family member in the military today because of what they're teaching them. You know,
Well,
they
there
have
should not,
drag queen story hours in the military and all that kind of stuff. It
you,
makes no sense.
no, of course not. You know what whenever I speak in front of a group, I usually start by saying, okay, let's pretend when Biden got inaugurated, President Xi from China did instead. You're in the United States.
Yeah.
Policies would not have been any different. Think
No.
about it. President Xi would do the same thing to this country that Biden and the Democrats are doing. I mean, really, it's deliberate. You know, all they hear on TV is, well, Biden, and they may, you know, it's sad that he doesn't know where he is, but the fact of the matter is he's not calling the shots. And the people behind the scenes, it's either Chinese directly or indirectly, but they're getting exactly what they wish. And I have to tell you, they have to be hysterical. At Chinese parties, they must be laughing about what they're doing to the military here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a joke. And
Yeah.
so they're making our military unfit to defend this country
that's right.
deliberately. And you know, that's got to change. And
Yeah.
it started with Afghanistan, quite frankly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That
I
was,
mean, you know, it's bad enough that, you know, 13 of our service people got killed, but they left so many Americans behind.
and
But
so many, listen, not, they see, they don't talk about the people that were injured. They
that's
talk
right.
about the 13 that died, but many
That's right.
of our soldiers were severely injured in those attacks in Afghanistan. They don't get mentioned. A lot of them had severe injuries. They don't, it doesn't get
Exactly.
mentioned. And the American citizens that are left behind, as well as people that we promised, if you help America, we'll be there for you. We weren't there for them. And we left our own citizens behind. And we left behind a facility that I'm sure China probably occupies now. That was billions of dollars we spent to update that facility.
Oh, $85 billion of
Yeah.
our most advanced military equipment.
Yes,
And
all that equipment
and
left on the
you,
ground.
yeah, and you
Left
know,
behind.
they're reverse engineering it right now, and they'll use it. It is going to be used against us somewhere in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, you just, that's why I say, I want to get up there and I want to reverse everything this administration has done. It's not one thing have they done that's in the best interest of our citizens and our country.
No, you're right about that. And finally, I know you wanted to say something about Israel, who we love dearly.
Right. You know what? Whether you like President Trump, you don't like President Trump, he was the best friend of Israel.
Yes.
And you know, Americans want Israel to survive. And, you know, he moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He recognized them. He wants them to exist. He did a great job in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords, and he was creating peace.
Yes,
right. And,
that's right.
And now this administration is so beholden to Iran. I mean,
oh my goodness.
I mean, they want them. I mean, they're going to have a nuclear weapon. And I tell you what, under Biden, North Korea will have one. I mean, the whole foreign policy. And if China doesn't invade Taiwan, I'll be shocked, because this is their chance. And
Yep.
So it's embarrassing. And for veterans that gave their life or went and sacrificed and gave a limb, this is inexcusable.
Oh, yeah. You know, Stan, if America doesn't have strong leadership, then the whole world goes crazy.
Yes.
America and the leadership in this country is important, not just here, but for the whole world. And I agree. Despite what you say about President Donald Trump, this stuff wasn't happening under Donald Trump. And this stuff would not be happening under a Donald Trump, because he's a strong leader. You may not agree with him. You can disagree all day, but one thing you can't disagree with, his policies worked. He worked for all the American people. He didn't care what color you were. He didn't care what your race was. He got out there and worked so that every American who wanted to work, wanted to go to school, whatever you wanted to do, you were able to do that under President Trump. You weren't paying all these high gas prices and all this stuff. He was for America first, and for America being the one to produce oil for the world. We were the ones. who were selling oil because we have enough resources to supply the whole world. And all of that was snatched away on day one of the Biden administration.
You know what, Dolores, you hit it exactly. It all comes back to you wanting your country to be first.
Yes.
And let's think about it. China wants their country to be first. Russia does, Iran does, every country. I mean, if you're competing in a sport, you want to win, you want to come in first. Why should any country be different? If you take care of your people, your country will thrive. And that's what's so upsetting, is that this administration puts our country and its citizens last.
Yeah. Well, which lets you know about the mentality. They don't love this country, and
Right.
they have a whole different plan for the country. That's not,
right.
it's not what God intended this country to be. It's not how it's been run today. But Stan, go ahead and give us your final thoughts. This has been wonderful to have these discussions with you. But give us your final thoughts and any information, contact information that you want people to contact you. Go ahead and share that with us.
All right. Thank you, Dolores. First of all, it's been wonderful to be here today. I will tell you that I'm doing this for the exact reasons that we've been talking about. And I feel like we have limited time, to be honest with you. If circumstances were wonderful and the country was existing on a basis that we did put our country and citizens first, then I probably wouldn't be running. But I honestly feel like if we don't get people that feel the way we do to step up and replace some of these Democrats and even some of the rhinos that are in Congress today not getting things done, that it's going to be too late, that who's ever infiltrating this, quote, deep state will be in there so deep that we will lose our freedoms. And we have to fight. I want to encourage everybody that's listening to this. Please don't think that your vote doesn't matter. Don't think that it's rigged. Don't think that it does, don't. Please go vote and get everybody you know to go vote. And let's fight against this tyranny and preserve our freedoms. And I encourage you to please look at my website, caplanforcongress.com, CAPLANFORCONGRESS.com. And you're welcome to communicate with me. If you send me an email, I'll be glad, and your phone number, I'll be glad to call you back. And if you want to support the campaign, either through volunteering to help get out the vote, put some yard signs out, have some meet and greets, I'd be glad to visit with you. Or if you got a couple of dollars, you got $10, send it on through the website. Whatever you can do, support the cause, and let's fight the evil that's going on in our country today.
Amen. Thank you, Stan. Thank you. And I want to thank my audience for those of you who take the time to watch and to listen to this podcast. And I'll pray that this message is able to reach you. And if you have a message that you would like to share or be a sponsor of DW's View Stand Up, we'd love to have you do that. You can contact me at dwsviewstandup@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe to my podcast and to get the latest recordings. Share this message with your friends and on your social media, share it. And be sure to join us again next time. We'll have another guest at DW's View Stand Up. Guess what? If we do not stand up for what we believe, who will?